What's going on, everybody? This is the FlashMob podcast, and this is episode 7. I have what is to be probably one of my favorite musicians of all time. If I had a Mount Rushmore of drummers, he's definitely at the top. Grew up watching him. He's played for everybody in every show possible, from the AMAs to American Idol. I mean, Britney Spears, Israel Houghton, I could just Stevie Wonder, George Duke. I don't know. It's everybody. Anybody you could think of, he probably touched drums for him. The one, the only, the legendary Teddy, the GOAT, Campbell. I appreciate you, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It was a heavy intro. But, we're going to see if I live up to do this interview.
Listen.
Thank you, man.
No interview could do you justice by any means.
Thank you, man.
I usually start off any podcast. First of all, it's usually more people on this couch, but you're that special. I'm like, it's just no way. Like, you need the space. You need the floor. I usually start off the podcast telling everybody when I realized they were special. So, for me, I want to say I was about 8 years old, maybe, and it was American Idol show, and I saw you on stage. I think it was Bo Bice. Was it Bo Bice? And you were on the front of the stage playing. Was it Bo Bice?
Was it a stand-up kid?
You were a stand-up kid.
No, it was
Blake. Or was
Blake Lewis.
It was Blake Lewis. My bad. It was Blake Lewis. Mm-hmm. And I was like, first of all, my parents let me stay up to watch the show at the time because Eastern time, it was a little later.
A little late.
You know what I mean? But man, at that moment, I saw like what I wanted to do with my life.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I heard what I wanted to do with my life because, you know, in the earlier episodes, we couldn't really see. We talked about this the other day. Yeah. We couldn't really see the band like that. Right. It wasn't until later on that they started giving y'all more camera time. And I'm just like, this dude is amazing. He's everything that I probably want to be. You know what I mean?
Thank
and
you,
I mean
man.
that genuinely.
Thank you, man.
So I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
I want to say that's the moment I realized you were special. I got to put that out there.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I actually really enjoyed doing that show. That's like my favorite time being on TV.
Really?
Because it was like the adrenaline was strong. Like we all had ice in our veins because it was live. It was live.
Yeah.
It was live to East Coast, you know, and so you couldn't mess up.
No room.
Yeah, so like I was forced to be on my P's and Q's, and I actually liked that because the pressure was on, and I had to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
So that was really my favorite. My favorite time on TV was American Idol because it was live. We had to kick it out right now, country, go. Hip hop, go. Rock, go. Like, you know.
Nah, you went at it. You went at it. All right, so here's the icebreaker, right? It's going to be this or that. Grits with sugar or salt?
Oh, salt and pepper for me.
All right, we good. Cool. Waffle House or IHOP?
Waffle House.
You the man, bro. You from Chicago?
I'm from Chicago.
Chicago pizza, New York pizza.
New York pizza.
Ah, man, for the win.
Chicago gonna hate me, but yeah.
Little man, I told you. Joey, I told you.
Can't do it. Deep dish. That's dumb. It's the dumbest thing. Dumbest thing ever made.
On it. Like, we eat cake with tomato sauce. Okay. Live show or studio work?
Live.
Why?
Maybe it's more adrenaline. I like playing through the adrenaline of having people in the room. I like the demand it places on my creativity. You know, I actually yeah.
You know, I'll take that though.
Yeah.
Because you always show up. So I'll take that.
Thank you.
You already answered this. I was about to say American Idol or The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. But I feel like you answered it.
Well, it's American Idol, yes. But I will say that I'm grateful for the Tonight Show because that's when I started singing and playing. That's when the Teddy Campbell band, that's when that guy showed up. The singing drummer showed up because of the Tonight Show.
Okay.
So the Tonight Show was pivotal because it birthed a new Teddy.
New Teddy.
Yeah.
But we still going to American Idol.
We going to American, we going to American Idol. If I had to choose.
If you had to choose.
Yeah.
Okay. Styles of Funk. Parliament, James Brown.
James.
Why?
The creativity and the space. Yeah, there was a James music had this dope tug between simplicity and creativity, space and movement. It was just
it was
just
all there.
tension,
Yeah.
And I'm just a huge fan of horns. Trombone is my favorite. And so Fred Wesley is actually a good friend of mine because we've played together a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so when something about trombone, I didn't know that was my favorite. I couldn't, you know, as a child, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between the horns growing up. But when I heard it, it was like,
that's the one.
That's, you know,
that's
it's a singing horn.
Yeah.
You know, it's extremely vocal. The
That makes
slides
sense.
and, you know what I mean? It's extremely vocal. Yeah, so, and Fred, that's the epitome of funk on that instrument.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked this on an earlier pod. Stevie or Mike?
Dang. Well, Stevie ain't gonna see this.
What? Stevie ain't gonna see this?
That's our show. So. But you talking about from well, he not gonna see it for sure. He'll hear it, but he won't see it. He would be joking with himself like that too, though. You definitely not gonna see it.
He saw a ribbon in the sky for love.
He did.
He saw a ribbon in the sky for love.
I'm probably gonna say Mike.
Ooh.
Yeah, just because Mike's music was, to me, it was just more fun, I guess.
Yeah.
And I remember I have more memories of Mike in my childhood. Because, you know, I think everybody was Michael Jackson.
We all wanted to be Mike.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I got fond memories of Mike with my kids. Like my youngest son.
Really?
Loved Michael Jackson.
Wow.
He put on, you know, anything from Off the Wall, he going crazy. He's like 5 years old. He dancing in front of me. I'm like, yeah. So I'm going to have to go Mike.
All right. Last one. And we into it. Kobe or LeBron?
Seeing that I'm not a big basketball fan, I don't care.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that for the win. I'll take that for the win.
I would, but I do have a interesting Kobe story.
Okay.
I was it's not a good story because it was the day that he died. I was on my way to the Staples Center to do the Grammys. The Grammys were the day he died. And so I'm driving from my house, which was in the valley, and I got to go downtown to the Staples Center, and I'm driving, man. I remember like it was yesterday. I'm driving down the street, and the sky just looked bad. Like it had been a long time since the sky looked this way.
Right.
Because LA, man, is always sunny.
Yeah.
So I mean, it looked like it was gonna rain. We ain't seen rain, you know. And at that point, you know, in a long time, so I'm like, man, this guy, this is an ugly day. I remember saying it like, this is a nasty day. Yeah. This day, this feels bad. Yeah, feels like a bad day. Man, I get to the Staples Center and people, I'm walking into, you know, the security check, and man, people crying like they like losing it. I'm like, man, what the heck? So I go through security with the Roots, and so I seen James Poyser. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, oh man, what's going on? I was like, man, what's going on with everybody? He said, man, you didn't hear? I was like, no. He said, man, Kobe just died. I'm like, so now I have to go into this man's house Because you know the Staples Center, that's
Staples
Kobe's
Center,
house.
yeah, that's the building. Yeah,
He everywhere.
yeah,
You know, and it was just the weirdest feeling, man.
yeah.
You know, so that day, I mean, we did the show, of course. They paid tribute to him and all of that, but it was just it just from the time I walked outside, it felt like a very bad day. So the way it hit everybody that day, especially being in the Staples Center, it was a tough day. It was hard. It was a hard day, man. People was like, you know, you thought that somebody's close relative died. People were really hurt by that. So that's my Kobe story. But you know, it was interesting being in that building that day, the day that he died.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I don't even know. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah,
it was in one space.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Well,
yeah. So maybe Kobe.
Maybe Kobe. Just
yeah,
that,
maybe Kobe.
That kind of lasting effect, right? Maybe.
Maybe Kobe.
So let's get into the show. For real.
All right.
When, you know, or where was this love for drums or music birthed? Church,
for sure.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. So I grew up in Chicago, gospel music scene, of course. I grew up in a missionary Baptist church. So my church was Christian Youth Missionary Baptist Church.
Right.
And I grew up just playing with an organist. It was just me and an organist. And we were talking about this earlier, you know, my love for, you know, quartet music and, you know, old soul music came from church because all the deacons in my church that used to do devotional service, if you will, is what we call it.
That was a good church. That was a good
They were
church.
all in quartet groups. So like when they would pray, they would be singing.
Like literally singing.
Literally. So I'm listening to this my whole life, really.
Yeah.
And so, you know, fast forward, I ended up singing, you know, quartet music. But
So
it was
did you sing first, or were you playing drums?
I was playing first.
You was playing first. How did that start?
The singing got tied in when, well, first of all, my godfather, so it was a guy, his name is Ron Ellerson. Ron Ellerson came and worked for our church. He took me under his wing, just kind of grooming me, and I ended up playing for his community choir. I ended up doing my first live recording, with his community choir. But he came and he was the minister of music at our church, and he was like, "Man, I'm gonna teach you how to, direct the choir and teach parts, because I need you to, we're gonna do a youth choir. And I need you to be over the youth choir." And I'm like, "Okay."
How old were you again?
Man, maybe 13.
And he saw that. He's like, yeah.
So I was teaching parts and directing the choir and sometimes singing. Yeah, and so when I got in high school, the high school I went to didn't have like a jazz band. It had a marching band. They didn't have a jazz band, and the band teacher wouldn't let me in the marching band because I couldn't read. I went and tried out for the band. He was like, "Nah, you can't read." And I'm like, "But I play better than everybody in
I'm smacking, dude.
Yeah, like, "Oh man," like he was like, "Nah." So I said, "Well, I guess I'm gonna sing then." So I got in the choir, and I was known as the singer around the school. So when the church kids at the school saw me playing drums, like on a gig or something outside playing with a choir or something, they looking at me like, "Why are you on the drum?" It's like, "I'm a drummer." It's like, "No, you a singer." It's like, "No, I sing because I can't play." So yeah, that's kind of how I got into singing, and then I don't know how far you want to go into it, but
so when did this become a profession?
The singing part, or the
let's start with drums. When did the drumming become a profession?
So I would say profession, meaning the first time I got like a real paycheck.
When did it start to feel like a profession to you?
When I started recording records.
Okay.
When I started recording records in Chicago. I started recording records when I was like 15 years old. So I did a record with Chicago Mass Choir when I was 15. And that is a record called, I want to say I Can Go to the Rock is the name of the record. But I played a couple songs on that record. And then I did, like my godfather who I was telling you about, Ron Elliston, Sounds Unlimited. Then I did like some Gerald Percy Gray stuff, you know, a lot of Chicago Mass stuff. I did this Mark Hubbard record, you know, that some people knew about. I did this record with a church choir called Progressive.
Okay.
And there's a song that we did on there called He's Alive. So there's like a bunch of people sing that song during Easter. So I was probably 18 or something when I did that. But yeah, I started doing live recordings and some studio recordings too when I was 15. And that's kind of when it started feeling more professional.
Right.
Because I was still in high school. And once I got that kind of check and that kind of gig, I started flunking out of school, man.
You just knew what you wanted to do.
I was like, man, I don't even know why I'm here. This is stupid. Y'all need to let me go and graduate now because I'm just going to mess it up for y'all. I'm going to be famous, but I'm gonna suck, and y'all going to have this. This is going to be the history of y'all school.
This sounds so familiar to me. It's not about me today, though. But it sounds so familiar to me.
Yeah, so like that's... But then, I was 16 years old, and I remember praying, asking the Lord, if you let me play drums professionally, I will never charge a church to play in it again. And literally the next year, I got a call from my homeboy Felix, who was playing he was on the road with a play. And this was the playwriter, his name is Michael Matthews. This is before Tyler Perry. So Michael Matthews had all these plays out, and he had all these crazy R&B singers in his plays.
Right.
So my boy hit me up. I was a senior in high school. He's like, hey, man, I got a gig for you. When you graduate, I got this gig, this tour, so you got to get out of school so you get this gig. Yeah. Then I ended up getting all A's the last semester because I was ready to go.
What you need to do.
So I went on tour right after I graduated high school that fall. Yeah. I was on the road, and I was gone ever since.
So how did the people around you react to that transition? Because I know like that transition, first of all, leading up to that point, I'm pretty sure there was like a halo, if you will, over that head of yours, and then like something is different. How did the people around you like react to that?
They felt like one of their homeboys made it. He made it. They was people were proud. And then from there, my career just kept going. You know what I mean? Like I moved to LA, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? And so the people that I did life with, at home, they were happy for me.
So how did you just up and leave Chicago? You don't just up and just go. I mean, you do, but I mean,
that's what I did, literally. I mean, I thought I looked at LA like, like that childhood, dream to go make it. I want to go make it big. So I'm going to go to Hollywood, So I'm looking at everybody, like all of the guys that's playing and touring and, doing gigs or whatever. And I'm like, they all live in LA. So I think I need to go to LA. I didn't have a desire to play for any artist. I didn't have that one person in mind. I'm going to go and work with Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't even know who Ricky Minor was. Never heard of him. And so when I decided I was going to move to LA, it was simply because that's where you go to work. Right. So when I was on the tour with the play, a couple of years into my touring, I met my wife. And so when I met her, she's from LA. And when I met her, she ended up coming along on the tour. She auditioned and got hired, her and right. Erica. And so I fell in love with her. And I'm like, you live in LA, so I'm definitely coming now. You know what I mean? So that made the trip even faster. That made that transition. So I moved, and like a year later, I started working with Ricky Minor, and then that's it.
So let's talk about that Ricky Minor relationship for a second. So to my knowledge, and I think I saw it on maybe Elmo's, you did a podcast with Elmo, and you were talking about that a little bit. Speak a little to that relationship, how it matriculated, because I know it went from, you being little bro that he's, looking after to, I mean, you're still younger bro in the essence, but you're helping him even in the spaces that he's in now or whatever. So how did that relationship kind of matriculate over time?
I mean, he's a very interesting type of mentor because he never maybe he did require, but he did it in such a
passive way.
He just did it in a way where you felt like you were motivated to do what you needed to do, and it didn't seem like it was because of his prompting, maybe, but it was.
Yeah,
like he was, like he was Bruce Lee or something. You know what I mean? Like he get in your head, you be like,
you hear him.
Yeah, all of a sudden you end up shining, and he take the credit for it, but he doing it as hard, maybe like that. Yeah, I don't know, but it just felt like he was, felt like he was Yoda or something. But so like. Prior to meeting him, I met a guy named Wayne Lindsay, and Wayne Lindsay and Ricky Minor worked together with Whitney Houston. Okay. And so Wayne Lindsay had just gotten the gig. Well, he had just gotten back in the band with back in Maze, Frankie Beverly and Maze. He was in Maze, and he got out and went tour with Whitney or whatever, and he came back. So he's now playing with Maze again. And they needed a drummer. They wanted to get another drummer.
Right.
And so my homeboy that I did like a Gerald Albright gig with my friend who knew Wayne. Right. And from Wayne was like, yo, I need a drummer. You know anybody? I know this dude. His name is Teddy Campbell. So Wayne auditioned me for Frankie Beverly. I got the gig with Frankie Beverly. So I was playing with Frankie Beverly for a couple of years. And then after that, in that relationship, I started working with Ricky. And I think that's how me and Ricky met. Wayne turned me on to Ricky. So when I met Ricky, Ricky was in the transition, the transitional period where he was leaving Whitney and wanted to come back to LA and do the Ricky Minor band, house band, MD stuff. And so right when he decided he was going to do that, he was working with Ricky Lawson a little bit, but he wanted to go another direction. Right. So I just happened to
just be
there. And so when that happened, my first gig with him, I'm a church boy. I can't read. I don't know what music on the paper even look like. I ain't never seen music on the paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they had charts for the gig and all that, and I'm trying to look at the chart like I'm reading it, and I can't read. I don't know what that is. I listen to the music, and I learned it, big church ears, listen to it one time. I was like, okay, that's the accent. Okay, that's the chorus. That's the second half of the chorus. There's an accent on the upbeat. Like I'm learning,
you know what I mean? Music in real time.
Yeah.
But you acting like
so then when it's time to play it, like 4 or 5 songs I had to listen down to and learn like that.
Right.
He was like, all right, count it off. Okay.
Let's do
so I'm looking at the chart and I'm playing. So after rehearsal, he came up to me and he said, man, don't worry about the chart. Don't, I hired you, man, because I like the way you play. I want you to play what you play. I love the way you feel. Don't even look at the chart. Don't even worry about the chart. I mean, that was him telling me that I know you can't.
That's a subtle way.
Yeah, so
you're not fooling nobody.
So from there, I started. That was the way I was learning how to, do his gig.
Right.
Listen to all the music and then me looking at the chart. But as I was looking at the chart, I was starting to take notice of some things that I didn't know. Certain markings or whatever. And then a friend of mine told me, he was like, listen, man, you need to learn how to read, man. He said, you don't want to keep internalizing this music. He said, you want to be able to see it and forget it, And when he said that to me, it registered because I was like really working overtime to learn this music, especially in a situation where one gig we did was called a celebration of black music. And this was maybe my second show that I did with Ricky Minor. And literally everybody was on the show. From Patty to Anita to Luther to Whitney to Boys to Men it's like everybody was on the show. And I'm playing all of these songs by ear. And when we get to sound check, when we finally see the artist, the arrangements change. So now they're like, we're going to take out this part, that part, that part. So he's saying all of this stuff based on the chart.
Yeah.
We're going to go straight to the coda. We're going to DS. We're going to DC. We're going to put a repeat around, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I had a strategy at that point. Was like, okay, once he give the cut, listen to somebody noodle that's going to actually practice what he said the cut was.
That's crazy.
And that's how you learn what the cut is.
You had a science.
Yeah. So he'll say what the cut is. He'll say what we're going to do. Somebody's going to play it to rehearse it. Like they looking at the chart because they don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
So they going to practice guitar, whoever. Somebody's going to practice looking at playing down the chart to play the form he just gave.
Right.
And that's how I listen.
So why they just quickly running it? Yeah.
So then Ricky came up to me after the sound check for that show. He looked at me, he said, man, I don't know how you do it. And he just walked away. I was like, man, I think that was a diss. I don't think that was a compliment. You know what I mean? So when he said that to me, I was like, man, I feel cut. I'm bleeding. Because I think maybe he was trying to check me. Maybe he was trying to tell me I need to learn how to read. It didn't feel like a compliment.
It didn't feel like, it sounds like one, but don't feel. Yeah, it didn't feel like one. Yeah.
Because I knew it didn't feel right for me. I knew that I was not comfortable. And what I felt from me winging it like that, it convicted me. It made me want to level up.
Right.
So when he said, man, I don't know how you do it, and didn't follow it up with but the show sounded good, I was like, yeah, I think he was trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
So that's when I got serious about taking the music home, learning what an eighth note looks like and sounds like, learning what a 16th note looks like and sounds like.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I taught myself how to read music that way. And that's how I ended up, moving on to the next level, leveling up, if you will.
So I heard you talking one time about how you guys used to do recording sessions. You and Ricky, you would do recording sessions, and you would see he would have a lot of pressure on him because it would just be, I got to do it almost like in no time, right? So you made it your business to cut your part in like one take, and then just help him manage whatever. When did that dynamic shift to where he knew he could lean on you, and you knew, like, no doubt about it, like, I'm just gonna do this for you? You know what I mean?
It was early on, man, because, he started noticing that I was being very helpful to him and catering to him to make his job easier. He knew it because that's what I felt like a part of my job was. So he felt that, he knew that. And I knew that he was really comfortable with me and he trusted me when he started putting me on, like he would put me on tours. Like he needed me in LA to do his shows, but he also knew that I needed to go do some other things. So he could have just, kept me to himself. But Ricky put me on gigs where he made me music director. So he put me on 98 Degrees as a music director. Right. He put me on Britney Spears as a music director. You know what I mean? When I did Christina Aguilera the second time, he put me on the gig as a music director. Like, so he was trusting me with these situations that were huge. These were big, these were big gigs. Right. And I was the one. And everybody else in the band would be like, you gonna let that dude do it? You know what I mean? Like, and so like it got to a point where people would be like, "Hey man, you need to talk to Ricky, man. He only gonna listen to you." But I told one of my friends, I won't say his name, but I told him, man, I said, man, the reason why Ricky trusts me is because he knows I don't want his gig. Y'all think y'all better than him or just as good as he is, and you want to be on his gig. You want his position. I don't want his position. I'm fine playing the background. I'm fine being his assistant. I'm fine being his personal music director. Don't none of y'all know, but I'm telling him stuff on the side that's helping him do his job. I don't make that known. You know what I mean? Like, so he could trust me because he know I don't want his gig. He know y'all want to be in his shoes. They was like looking at me like I was crazy. It's like, man, go be a superhero on your own time. Go get you a gig, an album, a record, a tour, or whatever you got to do. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want that. I'm here to do a job for him. I'm going to be Teddy Campbell, the solo guy or the soul seeker or the whatever guy outside of his gig. And they knew that. He knew that.
I gotta take my glasses, bro. I was just talking to Bart. Right?
Yeah.
He's gonna do the next episode. I was just talking to Bart about the fact that people don't know how to serve anymore. You know, the way I kind of matriculated, you know, was by genuinely serving. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people look at that as, oh, you kissing butt, or you know what I mean? It's like, no, like this is my role in this season. You know what I'm saying? And in this season, I'm going to do my role, not because I want something else, but just because this is what God has for me. You know what I'm saying? Similar to like David. You know, when David was a shepherd, he was a shepherd. When David was a warrior, he was a warrior. He served. He did his due diligence. When he was a minstrel, he was a minstrel. Yeah. He served in whatever space God allowed. It didn't mean he didn't have the skill to do other things, but where God positioned him is what he did. He served Saul.
It's all humility, though. That's the thing that people don't understand. And, you know, Scripture, James says, if you humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, in due season, he'll exalt you. So the exaltation comes in due season, but it doesn't come without humility.
For sure.
And so, like, that's what we have to understand. That gets us in these doors to lead, to go to the next level, to be exalted.
Yeah.
It's actually humility. And I thank God for my upbringing because that taught me humility. Absolutely. You know what I mean? A lot of people that don't understand that, they're just not humble. You're just not humble. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the real definition.
Just sit down and be humble, right?
Yeah,
like they're just not humble. And you have to be humble to be exalted. You have to be humble to be exalted. And humility has a root in humiliation. Some folks don't want to be humiliated. It's humiliating to know you got a degree in music, you got a this, and you've MD for this, and you've done this, and you've done that, and now you just serving Ricky Minor. That's humiliating. But that's what you do yourself. You humble yourself.
Yeah.
Then you get exalted. You know, so you got to bring yourself low. CeCe got a song. CeCe Wine said the song says the high is for the lowly. You know what I mean? You want the high road, you need to take the low road first. Yeah. And that's scripture. You know what I mean? You humble yourself and then you get exalted. So really it's just a thing about humility, man. You know what I mean? And I could say, you know, with confidence that I'm humble. Mm-hmm. It's not a flex. It's not, I am. I have to be. If I'm not going to be exalted. So it's not a flex to say you're humble. It's humility to say you're humble. You know what I mean? Sure. It's humility to call yourself a servant. It's humility for Jesus to call himself a servant.
Right.
You know what I mean? When he's the Son of God.
So then, how do you specifically, you have a way of wearing your confidence in specific moments. Like I can hear your confidence to where only you can play like you, right? You have this thing, you have this approach that you know what I'm saying is one of one. And you're confident enough to approach any style, any genre of music still being you. Like, where does that confidence derive from? You know what I mean?
That's a good question, man, because I mean, there's some things I could think about that may have helped. Growing up in Chicago, man, you know what it is being a New Yorker, bro. You just got, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what we do.
Gotta go for it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we just dogs, man. We want it, we going to get it. You know what I mean? And that's growing up like I grew up.
Yeah.
That's growing up. I'll use examples like regular everyday life examples, like actually catching the bus to school in 30 below weather. They wasn't closing the school down for 30 below like they do now.
Yo.
I had to get on the bus and go to school when it was 30 below. Like, cold weather make you a dog.
No, real talk. Real talk.
You know what I mean? Like
sure.
that make you got ice in your veins, literally.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Like
you
literally cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. you know what I mean?
For sure.
So that's the kind of stuff that, you know, helps in that confidence.
Yeah.
And you just bring that to music. And I was groomed also. Another thing was I was taught how to be confident. Like my godfather, you know, when he came to our church when I was 13 years old, he taught me, he's like, man, when you play this music with confidence. And I need you to look good while you're playing it. I need you to put on the suit. So when I started doing BET Awards and BET Celebration of Gospel, and all, we go back way back then in a suit. And Cass was like going to wear suits on Sunday after they saw me play. Like that was a part of my training.
I was one of them. I play in suits. Because
that's a part of my training.
Seriously.
I was taught you play in a suit, you know what I mean? And so, but I also was taught by Gerald to, whatever groove I'm playing, own the groove. If you're gonna play this song, the whole band is gonna be riding on your shoulders. So if you ain't grooving, it ain't funky.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like, so I was taught that too.
Yeah.
And I remember Calvin Rogers said to me one time, he said, man, he said, I see, and Ray Beatty said this to me one time. Actually, recently, I'm glad these guys both recently said this because it actually helped me. Because, you know, the older you get, you know, sometimes you feel like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm me. I don't know if I'm relevant out here in these streets. But Ray told me, I'll get back to Calvin. Ray told me, he said, I watch you walk in a room and size the room up musically. You hear everything, you listen to everybody, you watch everybody, you do what you do. And then you get on the drums and you go another direction. He said, I watch you do it. And I don't realize that I do that, but I know he's telling the truth because, you know what I mean? Like that sounded like something I would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, and then, you know, Calvin he said, man, I remember, man, he said, I watch the way you sit on the drums. And when you sit down on the drums, every single time you sit on the drums, I know that you're comfortable. And I know what's coming next just by the way you sit on the drums. Like that kind of stuff is taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was taught to me. It was taught. Like wearing a suit and being professional and being ready and being on time and all that kind of stuff, that builds confidence in you. You know what I mean? Knowing a song, executing a song builds confidence. You know what I mean? All of these things, wins will build confidence.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so so that confidence I have, it was taught to me, and I owe that to, you know, my upbringing and then the guys that helped, you know, bring me up into music too.
Speaking of executing songs, we had a conversation the other day. We were talking about you doing the Israel recording. I think it was Love God, Love People. And that was like right after The Power of One, right? And after The Power of One,
Calvin played.
That
I never wanted to play with.
Calvin.
I don't ever play with anything after Calvin Rogers.
No, literally, Calvin did everything, but
yeah. What's the song? What's that song?
I don't know.
I'm like, man, what?
Every running down the list, he just murdered the album, right? And it was like, who can come behind that, right? Man, the way you played the drums on that album is so nostalgic. It's like you showed us that there was another option. And this is it literally, everybody was trying to play it like Calvin at that point.
You had to go
like literally, you had to approach drums for a season almost like Calvin Rogers, right? Just because that was the blueprint for that season. He's just that good.
I even found myself trying to do that during these BET celebration of gospels and stuff. Yeah,
it was just a thing, but your approach to it, very specifically. What song was that? Take my... You Won't Let Go of Me. And the way you approach that 6/8 groove, the patterns, the feel of it, it wasn't just church music. I thought I was at a Blink-182 concert, kind of. You know what I mean? But I felt the flavor of a man my complexion at the same time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, to find you in every genre is like unheard of, really, for most people, because they don't know themselves. So you tapping in yourself like that was very inspirational to me, right? Because it's like, it helped me look intrinsically. It's like, I can't be nobody else but myself. Yeah, I can replicate it, but I'm gonna always be number two to the guy who's the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the way you played that album, I wish my brothers was here. They'll tell you, I was running that album every day.
So we talked about this.
We did.
I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't easy at first. Before I started playing, it wasn't easy because I was in my own head, because I felt like they may not be happy because I cannot give them Calvin, and I think they may want it. So I was in my own head, like trying to, do I try to be Calvin? Or do I play like the guy Calvin actually studied?
Because he looked up to you. He grew up like right under you, right? Correct?
Bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's little bro. That's little bro.
But I ain't thinking none of that. He's already Calvin Rogers the Great.
Right.
And I'm coming behind him. So I'm thinking just like any other competitive person would. Just naturally competitive, not like I'm trying to be better than him. But I got a job to do. I got to be great. And there was already a blueprint. And it was great. So what am I going to do? So I think it was a natural thing, but I had to work my way through that. And so when I started playing, that's when I was like, we need to really start playing, because right now I got too much time to think. Let's just start. I got to tap. Let me count it off, please. Because when I start playing, it's gonna be we good, because when that's when the ice show up. It's like, I sit down.
I'm here.
Let's go.
I'm here. Time to show up. Yeah.
So when I started playing, then I was able to be me, find myself through the songs, hear Israel and Aaron and Tommy Sims' ideas and all that kind of stuff, and just enhance and create, and it just ended up being a unified front, if you will. And I felt comfortable in that setting, because all those songs, Israel likes to, he liked to grab songs, styles and vibes from back in the day and put his stamp on it. Yeah. Like, man, I know I didn't play with all these artists you're trying to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I had to, in my mind, just be like, just be you.
Yeah.
So what you heard and you won't let go of me is me doing what I did on American Idol.
Pretty much.
I turned every song that was a rock song, that was a funk song, that was a pops, whatever, reggae, whatever it is. I played. I'm very respectful of music and the blueprint. Right. I believe in that. I don't believe in rewriting a song. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a good one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to enhance it. So what you heard was me just tapping into, okay, Israel wants a rock vibe. If he call out a name, okay, I know what, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I know his style, I know what he like and all of that. So I was able to tap in. It was easy to tap in once it was time to tap in.
Right.
But I definitely had a struggle. I was mentally going through it, because like, I can't beat out.
But you score from the drums too.
Yeah.
You literally, like, you'll score a horn. We were listening to a song and it was like, oh, they put these horns here because I played this on the drums. Like,
I always approach music from a band perspective. Sure. Meaning, if I'm going to play a song that does not have other parts, it's just kind of like bare bones or whatever, my style of playing, my creative sound is to score and arrange in my head and let my accents, my feels, my whatever, the sauce be a part that I was hearing. a horn part, a vocal part, a guitar part. So I'm always playing. I'm like you say, scoring, because I'm arranging as I'm playing. Even if you don't want it there, that's my approach of playing. And so you could tell me what you want, and I'll dial it back. You know, if you know my style, and you don't want that, you want something else, you got to tell me, because I'm coming in Teddy. Right? You know what I mean? I don't know nobody else.
This is who I am.
If I do something else, you're gonna hear it. It's gonna be bad. You know what I mean? So let me just be me. And that's how I approach songs. Yeah. So it's easy for you to put a horn part to what I played, because I was actually thinking horn parts when I played that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's my style.
Yeah, you instigate the parts, and it's like, we almost got to put this here, because that's what.
I'm not just. You actually got a producer to play your song.
Exactly.
You know, which is how you think, and guys like produce records, and music directors, and you have to hear all the parts. You know what I mean? That's your approach of playing. I hear that too. I hear when you're playing, you're scoring, you're producing, you're writing parts. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could see it. I could see it when you're playing. I can see that you're very intentional and very specific about what you're getting ready to play. And that's what people tell me all the time. It's like, man, you know what you're gonna play at all times. I don't actually think about a specific thing that I'm gonna play. I just know me.
Yeah.
I know Teddy. So I'm thinking about just being me, but at the same time, I have a style, I have a sound, I have an approach. And I hear that with you. I hear that you're always tapped in to you when you're playing. You're comfortable being you. You tapped into you. You're not somewhere else. You're not letting the dude over there that's, man, you ain't letting him letting him motivate you. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't get messed up by the dude in the stands. No, you go to him.
I don't even like when people stand behind me when I play, because the energy will almost push you to do something you're not supposed to.
It will almost, but not you.
Not me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you have too much knowledge of what you're doing to be deterred by what somebody else is doing. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Some people don't really know. They just trying to figure it out. You think they know. They trying to figure it out. That's why they chop all over the place, because they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you figured it out. And that's what I take pride in. I know the music.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've seen any of my posts where I talk about this, but I don't want no. You probably do this, or I may be stepping on your toes. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, say it.
Man, stay out there, talk back, Mike. Don't tell me to hit no cymbals. Don't tell me to take no toms out. You ain't producing me.
Yo, well, you earned the right to do that. You got.
But I know the song. Even if you ain't earned the right to do it, you have to trust the fact that unless you throw on a guy that you didn't hire. But if you hire a person, you got to trust the person. They actually have to feel that you trust them so that they can actually give you the best of them. If you just telling them what to do, now you're in control of them. You dictate or manipulate what they do or don't do. You don't trust them to do what you actually called them to do. You trust you to tell them what to do. And they know that. They feel that. So they play with that energy. I just tell people all the time, don't get in that mic. Nope. No. I know the song. You hired a professional. I know the song.
Yo.
And I'm 50, you 20. Don't tell me what to do. It's disrespect, young man. Stay in your place.
Yo.
Stay in your place. That's probably problem. Ain't nobody told you to sit down. Don't talk to your elders that way.
I don't think anybody would ever tell you, in their right mind at least, what to play.
They do.
Nah, it's no way.
I've been a part of these Christian band situations where these dudes that's just what they used to doing. Because they really got dudes that can't play, or we talking about the younger generation that they have not been raised with order.
Respect.
They have not been raised with respect. They have not been raised.
Yeah.
That's the word. They ain't been raised. Because if you're raising somebody, you have to have requirements. You got to tell them what to do. There's rules. If I'm training you, they ain't been trained. They ain't been fathered. They ain't been parented.
Right.
So there's no rules. They don't have rules. And that's what we're seeing in the younger generation. This is a lawless generation. They're doing whatever they want to do. So I can't let you, I'm not going to allow you to be lawless with me because I'm following rules. I have rules. I have a template. You don't know about this template, but let me inform you what this template is.
Yeah.
So that we can actually get to this place together. But you can get there with respect. I respect you. I respect your position.
Right.
But I also need you to have that mutual respect for me too. You hired me. Maybe you don't know me. And that's cool. You may not have ever heard of me. I may just be Teddy Campbell, Joe Blow drummer that's playing because you 20, 21, 23, and you raised in the Christian. You don't know me. You ain't never heard nothing. You ain't never heard of me. But I still need you to have respect for the fact that you hired or someone hired me to do a job. I need you to let me do my job. Your job, because maybe somebody didn't teach you, your job is not to dictate to me play by play what I'm supposed to play. That's not your job. And if that is your job, I need to be known. I need to be told that because I wouldn't have said yes to the gig. Because now you tie my hands. You're not going to get the best out of me. You're going to get you out of me. And now I feel manipulated. You know, I can control myself. I can play the song. I listened to it. I learned it. Maybe you're not used to that, but I learned it. And if I don't play it exactly right, give me a little grace to play to worship and express myself too. Give me a little space. If we all gonna get there, it's gonna be great together. Watch when we get done, we're gonna be high fiving and people may be shouting.
Right.
But if you in that mic telling me what to do, you shine today. We did. You shine today. The Lord did. You did. Now you all over social media. 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You did that. I don't know.
Here's the thing, Sam. I got it. See, here's the thing.
You can push back on it.
Everybody is not as trusted as someone like you. Even if I call somebody, sometimes I tell my brothers this. Sometimes you get called because you have the skill, and sometimes people call you to be you. I know certain people who get called simply because they have the skill set to regurgitate anything somebody gives to them, but we don't really care to hear them just play whatever comes to their mind. Right? You are a specific type of musician, human being, first of all, but a specific type of musician to where you know yourself. You know that you can be trusted in a certain way to where it's like, dude, why are you telling me anything? You know what I'm saying? Everybody has not reached that place.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
I'd rather y'all not call that person. Because here's my thing. My thing is you're not going to help that person. The help comes before the gig. The help comes with rehearsal. The help comes with spending time together before you get on the gig. If you don't have time to do that, it's going to be what it's going to be. You're going to get a robot. You're going to be in control, and they're going to play exactly what you want them to play, and you will win. Y'all won't win. That's just what you have to make that realization in your mind, that I'm going to hire a guy that's not that good, and I'm going to tell him what to do, and we're going to look good, but it's really going to be me. I don't care about him. You just that's just what it is, because you just manipulated what you wanted out of this guy. That's what you got to call it for what it is. You just said your initial response was, I don't trust him.
To a degree.
So don't call him.
But okay, not trusting somebody's first instincts. All right, let's say you got a little brother who's coming up and he's really good, but you want to help him. And you want him to get real-time experience. So, yeah, y'all did the rehearsal, but you know he may need a little guidance along the way. So it's like, hey, bro, dial back right here. All right, give me a little more right here. Would that be something that you would consider?
What if you didn't have a talk back mic? What if you didn't have a mic? So here's my school.
Okay,
Here's my school. My school is all those things you said, trust me, Gerald Gray was thinking of. Gerald Gray worked with me during rehearsal, and he got me ready for the gig. So when I got on the gig, he didn't say nothing. He don't even need a mic. So now you got Teddy Campbell because Gerald Gray helped produce this in me. So you also got to think about what you're doing, what you're helping that particular musician. How are you helping them get better? How are you helping them progress? How are you helping them to better themselves? If you're not thinking that way, then you're going to get what you want out of them by telling them what to do. But that's because you doing that. He's not doing that. Gerald he worked with me until I got ready. We got a week of rehearsal. We got 2 weeks. We got to record. We rehearsed. He got, you know what I mean? He did all of that in rehearsal. No, man, pull it back. I need you to play. That's cool. We rehearsing. But on the gig, he didn't do none of that. Yeah. And so that helped build my confidence. It made me feel like I was a part, because even live, if you're doing a live gig, it ain't gonna be exactly like you rehearsed it.
Of course not.
You're gonna get something different.
Yeah.
You might get something because a lot of times I play something that's different. He turn around and look, you know what I mean? But you see what happened? We went somewhere. Right. Because he gave me that freedom. After he taught me, he then put me in the game. He wasn't running up and down the court while I was playing. Okay, all right, now shoot it. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That
not the play-by-play thing. Not the play-by-play.
Not the play-by. But even not the play during the gig. Like we did that in rehearsal.
Listen,
I know you don't understand.
I respect it. You know that, and that's where I got to land with it. I definitely I respect the school of thought. I have to respect the school of thought.
I understand I understand it's a different day, and I get why we are where we are, and I see the good in it. I see what comes from the music in that kind of situation. But I'm old enough to know that I think about the person, not just what happened. I mean, the music came off great. You got a lot of likes and a lot of shares, and it sounded great. But now I'm thinking about the person. Like, how do you feel, about yourself after, being told play by play? Some people maybe not even know that, maybe they didn't feel any kind of way about it, because that's just the norm. But I do know that there's some kind of restraint there. You know what I mean? There's some kind of distrust, if you will. But you don't think about it that way because this is just normal for people to tell me what to do in the mic. And so now that's my everyday life. When I show up to the gig on Sunday, somebody gonna tell me what to play. I ain't even gotta learn the music. You know what I'm saying? So now you kind of come in you skating, really. Yeah. Because you got somebody going to tell you.
Yeah, see, I don't do that. I'm not going to walk you through the whole. At that point, bro, don't even worry about it.
I'll play your part. I'll program your part.
Literally. It'll be in the laptop tomorrow. Don't even.
And that's another thing, too, boy. We can do that. Oh, my God. Okay,
let me not get you.
You got an old guy on the couch. Older guy, I'll say.
Oh, my gosh.
I'll be coming against everything. I don't like that. No, back in my day. Anyway. I'm that guy. I'm sorry. I done turned into that guy on your podcast. Back in my day.
It's cool. I have a father who's a lot like that.
So my age too.
Yeah. Yep. Literally. Okay. God. How does God inspire you from point A to point B in what you do and outside of what you do, professionally speaking?
I mean, he's more important to me now than ever because I actually desire to please him. And not just with lip service. 'Cause, Scripture says that, they praise me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. So you have what we see every Sunday as praise and worship, but the heart is far from him. And I don't ever want to, in my own heart, think that, oh man, God deserves a little bit more than that. You know what I mean? So I want to the best of my ability, please him.
Yeah.
With my obedience. And I want to know what it is he wants me to do very specifically, day to day, week to week. I don't want to just wake up and say, all right, Lord, here I am. I'm here at your service. Use me as you will. That's cool too. Mm-hmm. But there's some very specific things you can do every single day of your life. There's some very specific things the Lord called you to do in his commands that keep you on the straight and narrow. You just don't choose to do them. Because essentially, we're a lawless generation. I don't want to be lawless. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a lawless man. I'm just going to kind of do whatever I want to do, God, and you're going to understand it because, you sent me Jesus to die for my sin. So I can sin because you died for my sin. I don't want to, I can't play with the Lord like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I want to be very intentional with my obedience. I want to be consistent. I want to have things that I do, practices that I have that says yes to him.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful in every situation I'm in, even when I'm playing. I'm mindful about, how I am, how I'm acting, what I'm doing, what I'm saying, how I'm influencing people, or how I'm not, because I want people to see my good works and glorify my Father which is in heaven. I want people to see my good works, and glorify my Father which is in heaven. So I'm in a season of just some very intentional practices of obedience because I think he deserves it. If I love him, I'll keep his command.
And I already know you have strong faith because of all the spaces you've been in to maintain, because it's very easy to get lost when in all of these
I was lost
shows.
Too. I was lost. Even when I thought I had faith, I was still lost.
That's crazy too.
Yeah, I remember, when I was out with the Backstreet Boys, one of the boys said to me, he was like, man, Teddy, you come out and you have fun with us and we'll go to the club and you'll go and hang out and have a good time. I don't ever see you drinking or anything like that. Like, you don't smoke, you don't get high, you don't drink, and you just be having fun with us, man. Like, how are you able to do that? And I was like, well, man, I don't need all that kind of stuff to have fun, Mm-hmm. I said, man, I got Jesus, man, and, he's fun.
Legit.
It was just my honest little, response to that. And he was like, wow, okay. But that was just something that I just wasn't doing because I wasn't doing it. I wasn't a drinker and a smoker and all of that. But I was taking them girls down. I was smashed.
Ted.
I was, man. You know what I mean?
We all saw you get in trouble, man.
Yeah, I was like, it was easy for me to say, Jesus make me have a good time. I don't smoke, I don't drink. It's not what I did. Well, you didn't ask me about the girl. My bad.
Bro.
Don't tell him, Lord. Don't tell him. Yeah, so like, even then, it was like, I wasn't really living for the Lord. You know what I mean? And so now, I am. and it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Scripture said the righteous are bold as a lion. If you ain't right, you can't be bold. You can either be bold in righteousness or bold in sin. You can be a bold sinner. I'm doing whatever it is I want to do because F it. Or you can be righteous and bold. And you're confident because you know you're right. Like I use that analogy with my kids. It's like, if I come in the house and be like, who ate my cookies? And the kids that, the one that ate, they ain't gonna say nothing. But the one that know they ain't ate, I didn't eat it, Daddy. I didn't. He bold.
Yeah, because he know.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Because he know he didn't.
He in right standing. Yeah.
I want to be like that.
You gave us a lot to think about. You gave us a lot to think about today. It's my last question, and I'm gonna let you go because we could do this like
we can do it
all day.
I can do it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So all you gotta do is we want to open up another window.
No,
not that one.
We gonna need another episode for that one. Cause yeah.
That's what we gonna eat tonight.
We
open that window tonight.
We might let y'all in on that a little later. This is a selfish question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had any piece of advice to give me, what would it be?
Any piece of advice.
I mean, you give it to me all the time, but yeah.
What would it be? It would be, I think about it, just what came to me was thinking about the scripture said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. I know that you are moving into all these different spaces. You're a mogul now. You're doing your podcast and you're producing and music directing and drumming and whatever else you got going on. And you're a young man, but you have wisdom beyond your years. I would say for you to tap into more godly wisdom, man, fear the Lord. Fear the Lord. And not just a reverential fear where he says, I respect you, God. No, be afraid. Because the Lord, if he wants to, can strike you with this, can kill you, can send you to hell for what disobedience. We know we got Jesus, but you got to endure. Scripture, you got to endure to the end.
For sure.
You have to endure. You can't just do whatever it is you want to do and be like, I'm good. So, I mean, like, really have fear. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't walk across the street if you see a semi-truck coming because you're afraid that semi-truck will hit you and kill you. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You really want to be wise? Fear the Lord. And be obedient. Keep his commands, whatever that is, man. Whatever the Lord, I give you, a bunch of them.
I know you would.
But, man, just be very intentional with your relationship with God. Fear the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You're going to be moving into a lot of different situations, and you don't want to be riding off the momentum of worldly wisdom. You see how things are done. I'm going to move like them because they doing it. I'm going to do it. That's not godly wisdom. You don't want worldly wisdom and think you got godly wisdom. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of his wisdom. So I'll just tell you, man, just like do that, man. Just tap into that. Just tap into, I'm 29 years old, but I'm very serious. I'm very serious about my relationship with God. Because to whom much is given, much is required. He's giving you a lot. And the much that is required of you is your obedience. To whom much is given, much is required. He's giving you a lot at a younger age, and much is required of you. And that much, if I could just give you one word, what that much is, obedience. So you got fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's what I would tell you. That's what I told you.
I appreciate you. I really do. I really do. I can't reverence you enough as who you are to the kingdom, who you are to me personally. Like, like meeting you to me is almost as good as like meeting Michael Jackson in my life. You know, when we first linked, I was like, "Yo, bro, like I just spoke to Teddy, like to my like legit, like because of the fact that you were always the gold standard. You remain the gold standard. I hear you sometimes say that there were moments where you second guess yourself because it's like, well, should I do it like this? You are the gold standard. You are stamped. You are the Teddy. In my phone, you Teddy Goat Campbell. That's who you are. Literally the greatest of all time because you're just you. You know, there's only one you. You're so good that people can't even really replicate who you are. There are very few people who can really tap into this is my Teddy because Teddy is so broad, you know.
Thank
and
you.
just please continue to be an inspiration to us, you know. Don't stop posting, you know, because it shows us that we could keep doing it at that age. Don't stop showing us the different types of gigs that you do because it shows us that we need to be versatile, you know. And your transition from season to season has been graceful, you know. Even I don't know if you knew what your transitions would be, but it has been nothing but graceful. And anybody I've ever met who's known you has nothing but great things to say about you. So just continue to be a light. You know, those are my words to you.
Thank you, man.
You know what I mean?
Encouraging.
No,
And I appreciate it.
absolutely.
For real. Yeah.
So it's the FlashMob, episode 7. We out. Peace.